Most people use the words road, street, avenue, highway, and freeway as if they all meant the same thing, but they don't. Every type of road is designed for a different purpose, built to a different standard, and meant to move a different kind of traffic. Some are engineered for speed, long, straight, uninterrupted. Others are built for people slow, narrow, lined with front porches and parked cars. Some connect entire states, crossing rivers, mountains, and time zones. Others exist for one reason only, to reach a single house at the end of a quiet block. And while city planners and traffic engineers use these names with real precision, most of us never stop to ask what separates one from another. So today we're breaking down every major type of road, how each one works, how it came to exist, and why it plays a unique role in the transportation network around you. Let's start with the broadest term of all. A road is simply any route that connects one place to another. It may be paved with asphalt, poured in concrete, or nothing more than packed dirt. It may run through dense cities, open farmland, thick forests, dry desert, or mountain passes thousands of feet above sea level. Some roads carry tens of thousands of vehicles every single hour. Others might see a single truck pass by once a week. Road is the umbrella term, the ancestor category from which almost every other roadway type descends. If it lets a vehicle travel from one place to another, technically it's a road. Everything else is just a specialization. Now let's move into the city, where names start to matter a lot more. A street is designed primarily for people, not speed. Streets are lined with homes, storefronts, sidewalks, intersections, crosswalks, traffic lights, and parking spaces, the full texture of daily life. Drivers are expected to travel slowly, often 25 to 35 miles per hour, because pedestrians, cyclists, delivery vans, and local traffic all share the same narrow space. Most residential neighborhoods are built entirely around a grid of streets. A street isn't just a path for cars. It's the physical stage where a community actually happens, kids walking to school, neighbors talking over fences, a corner store on the way home. An avenue is similar to a street but is built to carry considerably more traffic. Avenues tend to be wider, with multiple lanes, and are designed to link entire neighborhoods together rather than serve one block at a time. In many grid-based cities, avenues run perpendicular to streets. Manhattan is the classic example, though this layout isn't a universal rule. Plenty of cities break it. Avenues often include medians, bike lanes, and dedicated turn lanes to handle the higher volume of traffic they're built for. Think of an avenue as a feeder artery. It gathers traffic from the smaller streets around it and channels it toward the rest of the city. Boulevards are wide urban roads designed for both movement and beauty. Most feature landscaped medians filled with trees, grass, or flowers running straight down the center. Many also include generous sidewalks, dedicated bicycle lanes, and decorative lighting meant to make walking as pleasant as driving. The concept has deep roots. The word itself comes from the old fortress walls of European cities, which were torn down and replaced with tree-lined promenades. Boulevards are often engineered to become some of the most visually striking corridors in a city. Not just the most functional. Paris's Grand Boulevards and Los Angeles's Sunset Boulevard are both built on this same idea, a road that's also a destination. Driving down a boulevard often feels completely different from driving down an ordinary street, even if the speed limit is identical. Now for one of the most misunderstood names in the entire system. A highway is any major public road connecting cities, regions, or states. Highways are designed for longer distance travel and generally allow higher speeds than city streets. But here's the part most people get wrong. Not every highway is a controlled access road. Some highways still have traffic lights, cross streets, driveways, and businesses opening directly onto them. Others are fully divided, with multiple lanes and no cross traffic at all. Highway is a broad, legal, and functional category. Not one single design, which is exactly why the more specific terms below exist. Freeways take the concept of the highway and push it to its logical extreme. Uninterrupted flow. There are no traffic lights, no stop signs, no railroad crossings. Vehicles enter and exit only through specially engineered on-ramps and off-ramps, merging and diverging at speed instead of stopping. Because there's nothing to interrupt the flow, traffic can move continuously at much higher speeds, often 65 to 75 miles per hour or more, with far fewer delays and rear-end collisions than a typical highway. Many US interstate highways are also freeways in design, but the two words aren't interchangeable. Not every freeway belongs to the interstate system, and a handful of interstates, particularly in older or denser cities, don't fully meet the freeway standard. The goal, above everything else, is simple: keep traffic moving without interruption. no matter how much volume it's carrying. Expressways sit just below freeways on the ladder of access control. They're similar in spirit to a freeway built for efficient, higher speed travel, but they usually retain a few controlled intersections. Some sections may still have traffic signals, or a limited number of at-grade crossings where a local road passes directly through. Expressways exist as a practical compromise. Full freeway construction is expensive, and in some corridors it isn't justified by the traffic volume, so engineers designed something in between most of the speed and flow of a freeway at a fraction of the construction cost. Think of an expressway as the middle rung on a ladder, faster and more controlled than an ordinary highway, but not quite as uninterrupted as a true freeway. Interstates form one of the largest and most influential highway systems ever built. The interstate highway system was created in the 1950s, championed by President Eisenhower, and inspired partly by the German Autobahn network he'd seen during World War II, with the goal of connecting every major region of the United States. These roads are built to strict, standardized engineering criteria: gentle curves, wide lanes, generous shoulders, controlled access at every entry point, and consistent signage from one state to the next, so a driver in Maine and a driver in California see the same blue and red shield and know exactly what to expect. Interstates let people and freight move efficiently across thousands of miles, and today they carry a massive share of the country's long-distance trucking, commuting, and travel. Many of the nation's busiest, most economically important transportation corridors run through this single network. Next comes the Parkway, a name that started out meaning something quite literal. Originally, parkways were scenic roads built specifically to connect parks and recreational areas to one another, part of a broader movement in landscape architecture in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Many were designed with lush landscaping, gentle sweeping curves, and carefully composed views meant to be admired at a relaxed pace, not rushed through. Commercial trucks are often banned outright from parkways, a rule that dates back to their original purpose as leisure routes rather than freight corridors. Today, the definition has loosened and varies by region. In some places, a parkway is really just a landscaped freeway, but the roads generally still try to blend transportation with scenic driving. Sometimes on a parkway, the journey really is meant to be part of the destination. A turnpike is a toll road, plain and simple. Drivers pay a fee that helps fund construction, ongoing maintenance, and future expansion of the road. Modern turnpikes increasingly use electronic toll collection sensors and transponders like EZ-Pass that let vehicles pass through at highway speed without ever touching the brakes. Historically, the name comes from actual gates armed with turnstile-like pikes that literally turned aside once a toll was paid, a system dating back centuries to early English toll roads. Today, the physical gates are largely gone. The toll, however, remains just collected electronically instead of by hand. County roads are maintained by county governments rather than state or federal transportation agencies. They connect rural communities, farms, small towns, and local intersections to the larger state and interstate highway network. County roads vary enormously in quality and scale. Some are modern, well-paved routes with clear lane markings. Others remain narrow gravel roads that turn to mud after a hard rain. Regardless of condition, they're essential connective tissue for the less densely populated parts of the country, often the only link a farm or small town has to the outside world. Frontage roads run parallel to major highways, usually just off to the side. Instead of pulling directly off high-speed highway traffic, drivers exit onto the frontage road first, then use it to reach gas stations, restaurants, hotels, shopping centers, or neighborhoods. By separating this local stop-and-go traffic from the through traffic on the highway, frontage roads reduce the number of direct access points along a high-speed corridor. Fewer direct entrances means fewer conflict points, and fewer conflict points means fewer accidents, which is really the entire safety rationale behind their design. Service roads perform a related but more specialized function. They provide access to industrial facilities, utility infrastructure, airports, railway yards, or other commercial and operational properties. Many service roads aren't built for the general public at all. They exist mainly for maintenance crews, utility trucks, and emergency vehicles that need to reach equipment the public never sees. Not every road on the map is meant for commuters. Some exist purely to keep critical infrastructure running behind the scenes. Alleys are narrow roadways tucked behind buildings, out of view from the main street. Instead of serving front entrances, alleys handle deliveries, garage access, trash collection, and utility maintenance. By moving that activity behind buildings, alleys help keep the main street clear, quieter, and more pleasant for pedestrians and storefront businesses. Some of a city's busiest logistical work happens exactly where most people never think to look. A lane is usually a narrow road serving a limited number of homes or properties. Lanes are common in residential pockets and rural areas where heavy traffic was never expected and never really materializes. The word itself carries a certain connotation. Lane tends to suggest something quieter, slower, and more intimate than a street or avenue, and street naming conventions often lean into that on purpose. A drive is another familiar road name, but it comes with its own design logic. Drives typically follow the natural curves of the landscape hills, waterways, tree lines, rather than snapping to a rigid grid pattern. They often wind through residential neighborhoods, parks, or scenic subdivisions, prioritizing a pleasant route over the shortest one. Unlike streets or avenues, drives rarely stretch for long distances. They tend to stay local, looping through the terrain they were built to complement. A court refers to a short road that ends in a cul-de-sac with no through traffic at all. Because nothing passes through, courts tend to be quiet, low traffic, and popular for family-oriented residential development. Children can often play more safely here, simply because there's far less reason for any vehicle to be on a court besides the residents who live there. Circle and loop roads are designed to curve back toward their own starting point. A circle usually forms a complete ring around a central feature, a park, a fountain, a landscaped island, creating a defined focal point for the surrounding neighborhood. A loop, by contrast, follows a curved path and reconnects with a different road rather than closing back on itself. Both layouts help planners organize neighborhoods into self-contained pockets while cutting down on unnecessary through traffic that has no reason to be there. A cul-de-sac is a dead-end street capped with a circular turnaround, instead of forcing drivers to reverse all the way back out. The circular design lets them turn around smoothly and head back the way they came. Cul-de-sacs are extremely common in suburban development because they inherently limit traffic to residents only, which tends to make for quieter, safer residential streets, though traffic engineers also point out a trade-off. Cul-de-sacs can slow emergency response times and make a neighborhood harder to navigate for anyone unfamiliar with it. Not every road is meant to take you somewhere new. Sometimes its whole job is to tell you that you've arrived. Finally, private roads. Unlike public roads maintained by government agencies and funded through taxes, private roads are owned outright by individuals, businesses, or homeowners associations. Access may be restricted to residents, employees, customers, or specifically authorized visitors, and unauthorized use can even count as trespassing. Depending on local law, maintenance becomes the sole responsibility of the owner rather than a public works department, which is part of why private roads are often better, or sometimes far worse, maintained than the public roads around them. Private roads are a good reminder that not every road belongs to everyone. Modern transportation networks are really a patchwork of thousands of these different roadway designs, all working together as one system. Local streets connect neighborhoods and give a community its everyday texture. Avenues and boulevards feed that local traffic into larger, faster corridors, one built purely for volume, the other built for volume and beauty at once. Highways link cities together, freeways strip out every interruption to keep that traffic moving. Interstates connect entire regions under one unified engineering standard, and beneath all of that, a whole layer of smaller roads lanes, drives, courts, alleys, service roads quietly does the unglamorous work of connecting individual homes, farms, and businesses to everything else. Although we tend to use these words interchangeably in everyday conversation, each one actually reflects a distinct purpose, a distinct set of engineering priorities, and a distinct traffic pattern it was built to handle. Understanding the difference explains why roads are designed the way they are, and why driving on each one can feel so completely different, even at the exact same speed. So the next time you're behind the wheel, take a second look at the name on the street sign. It isn't just a label on a map, it's telling you exactly how that road was meant to be used. And now you know every major type of road.